Mágad ceann comhairle agus ara tá méid díreaiste Ospidéal na Gaillimhe a ríis agus an méid ochar atá ar shrealaithe 62 inniu agus tá ag folann agus ag fáil báis ar shrealaithe. Ádas atá muidne ag cant agus ag ceiliúir siúise tarthaí na tábhacán. Minister, I'm glad you're here today as the former Minister for Public Expenditure and Reform and the Minister for Finance, because it directly relates to the issue I'm bringing up as I speak here today with 62 patients on trolleys in a hospital that's billed as a centre of excellence. Earlier in the year we had 73, making it the worst hospital, the third worst, and the worst figures since the INMO started collecting data some time ago. And so why am I raising this here today? Because no progress has been made at all in relation to the hospital in Galway, other than a temporary accident and emergency which cost 15 or 16 million. And the background to this is in February 15, we were told by Varadkar, at the time Minister for Health, that the hospital, the department wasn't fit for purpose. And so on, down through, right up to 16 and then 20 in the programme for government, all of the time being told it wasn't fit for purpose. And then we foolishly relaxed because there was an options appraisal that said, build a brand new hospital in Merlin Park. That didn't happen, so they revised that and they said, do up some of the properties on the hospital in Galway. And all of the time, the staff were struggling through trolleys. HIQA visited in February of last year and they thought it was grossly overcrowded with 28 on trolleys. Today there are 62. Now, what that does to staff, not to mention the patients who are suffering and dying. And I don't know, I'd love to ask, including myself, who here in this stall has spent any time on a trolley in a public hospital? I asked it this morning and got no answer. And I think if we did spend a little time, there might be more push to do something about it. And so we're here now looking at a preliminary business assessment case. We're looking at a strategic assessment review. And all of the time, Minister, I'm getting different answers. It would be easier to read The Castle or Metamorphosis by Kafka, which is extremely difficult to read. It would be easier to read it in German, Irish or English than to understand the answers that are coming in relation to the hospital in Galway. We need a new accident and emergency. We need a new maternity ward above. That's functioning in suboptimal conditions, as is the whole hospital. The options appraisal that was carried out in 2019 told us that 64% of the infrastructure in the regional hospital wasn't suitable and 99% in Merlin Park. And all of it more than 40 years old. And all of the time what we're doing is adding to a congested site in a hit and miss fashion with the promise of an accident and emergency, a new children and maternity ward overhead, but no idea when that's going to happen, except your department and your previous department telling us there are new rules, we must do this, but nothing is happening.
Thanks very much, Deputy Connolly. Well, first of all, looking to the medium to long term and the need to ensure that there are adequate facilities and adequate infrastructure at Galway University Hospital. As you know, we are making progress on the delivery of major capital projects that are planned for the hospital. A formal project board has now been established. We are finalising a master plan for the development of the Galway City campus, which will enhance the delivery of essential healthcare services for the population. As you know, this includes a number of key priorities: a new emergency department, which is needed, and women's and children's block, a new laboratory, a new cancer centre, and a bed block on the University Hospital Galway campus. And it will also oversee plans for the Merlin Park campus, including the elective hospital for the region and the surgical hub. Progress is being made. A design team has been appointed. A programme manager has also been appointed. And in addition, the announcement recently by Minister Donnelly of 228 new beds for the hospital will play a very important role in the improvement of the overall infrastructure at the hospital. The new beds will be provided in separate phases, with Galway University Hospital set to benefit from 198 beds between this year and 2028, with a further 30 coming on stream beyond that. But in the short term, we have a job of work to do, because it is not acceptable to us, Deputy, that number of patients are on trolleys today. It is not acceptable, and that is why the government has very significantly increased the resources for the hospital to provide for the growing demand that is there. Staffing has grown by over 740 staff. It's now 4,500. That's an increase in almost 20% since 2020. In addition, the budget over the same period has grown by 21%. So that is a very significant investment by the state, and we need to see the return, and we need to see the performance improving as a result. Notwithstanding the trolley numbers that you quote from today, which are not acceptable and will need to be addressed, it should be acknowledged that from January to May of this year, Galway University Hospital trolley count shows a decrease year to date of 15%, and we should, in the interest of balance, acknowledge that as well. And that is part of improvement that is happening across the country. At a national level, progress has been seen across nearly all of the acute hospital sites, excluding and sadly with the exception of University Hospital in Limerick. We've seen reductions year to date of 20%. So the investment is making a difference, and we need to deal with the short term, the here and now, the people who are on the trolleys today, which is not acceptable to government or the HSE, but we also need to have a plan to ensure that the infrastructure is in place for a growing and an ageing population, so that we can meet the needs which are increasing all the time.
Thank you, Minister. Deputy Connolly.
Minister, one always loses the will to live, really, in relation to this. 2014, not fit for purpose. 10 years later, not fit for purpose. And you tell me then that there's money going into it. There are 62 people on trolleys. They shouldn't be on trolleys. We live in a republic. You have normalised a situation where patients are on trolleys. I know each of you personally think that's horrific, but it's time to look at what is happening. Stop quoting figures to me, please. 64 people on trolleys. Would you be on a trolley tomorrow? Would I be? That's the question we ask in a republic. What is it we're doing 10 years after Leo Varadkar said the accident and emergency wasn't fit for purpose? And we have gone around in circles in relation to a strategic assessment review and different answers. I was told it was approved by the Health Executive Board in November 2023, that it was accepted, approved, and then I'm told in a different answer it went for approval. How in God's name can we stand over a situation 10 years later where we don't even have a deadline for an accident and emergency, not to mention the maternity unit, which is going up overhead in a strategy, maternity strategy, that's coming to an end in 2 years' time. And they're functioning in suboptimal conditions. HIQA said they failed on 2 of 4 essential standards. I don't want to hear and lambaste the government. I want a public health service that's fit for us to call ourselves a republic.
Minister.
Thanks, Deputy. And the facilities at Galway University Hospital are not fit for purpose. I have been there in recent months, and I am very much aware of the ambitious capital investment plans which we will support, because they need to happen, because the scale of demand for services there is only going to go in one direction. And we have to ensure that we have not just the staffing but the physical infrastructure to meet that need. And that is why the new master plan will involve the new emergency department, as well as the women's and children's block and a whole range of other facilities, including a cancer centre as well. There has been investment in recent times. We've had the new radiation oncology facility which opened last year, and in addition the hospital has been granted a capital allocation for the creation of a third endoscopy procedure room, including additional facilities as part of that. But we should also recognise, to be fair, that overall trolley numbers are down. They're down nationally. And you've highlighted what is happening today in the hospital. And what I'm saying to you as Minister on behalf of the government is that is not acceptable to us, and we will address it both in the short but also with a plan for the medium to long-term improvement of services there.